Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to episode 33 of the Star Sport podcast. My name is Jack McCarran of the Southern Star and I'm joined as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. On today's show we'll be looking ahead to the Cork Senior Football Championship quarter-final clash between Clonakilty and Duhallow this Saturday evening, and hearing from Clonakilty's Thomas Clancy.
We'll also chat to St James's captain Joe O'Sullivan following their historic win over Bandon in the Carbery Junior A football final last weekend.
We're also going to look ahead to the beginning of the junior rugby season, which kicks off this weekend, but we'll start with the senior club football action. And Kieran, following Newcestown's win over Island Rovers last weekend, we could be looking at a huge senior football championship semi-final if Clon can get past Duhallow this Saturday evening at Páirc Uí Rinn. And before you get into that game, I might just, since we did it last week, I'll bring up the betting from online bookmaker Paddy Power. Once again, we're not sponsored by Paddy Power. They're the only bookmaker that have the prices out. But if any bookmaker would like to sponsor us, feel free to get in touch. But anyway, Duhallow are comfortable favourites for this game. Last week's was a lot tighter, but Duhallow are 2-7, Clon 7-2, and the draw is 8-1. So Kieran, taking that all into account, what are your thoughts on Saturday's game?
Those odds probably reflect what we're looking at on Saturday night. Duhallow have to be favourites. Defeated county finalists last year up against a Clonakilty team that before this year and last season, to be fair, they had struggled in the senior championship. You only have to go back a couple of years ago. Jack and Clon were involved in a relegation battle, so for them to be in the quarterfinals now is probably bonus territory for them. And the added bonus is that they've already secured their place in the Premier Senior grade next year, which is the new top tier in Cork Senior football. So that's a big bonus for them. Obviously, since they're here now in a quarter final, they want to win it and get through to a county semi final for the first time in a good while. But they'll find it going tough, to be honest with you. Duhallow look to hold all the aces in this. They beat Carrigaline 215-0, 7 points in their last game, while Clon struggled, to be fair, to an extra time win against O'Donovan Rossa. It was 314-119, but it's worth mentioning that Skip team are without Donny O'Connett, their main player. He's out injured with I think it's a knee injury. He's out for the year, so he was a big loss to Skip, and still Clon just struggled past him. On the other side, then I suppose Clon are one of those teams, Jack, that the fact there's so many fellas involved on the inter-county team, they don't see those lads for most of the season. So it probably takes time for those fellas to kind of gel back in. We're talking here Thomas Clancy, Sean White, Mark White, Liam O'Donovan, and you even have Maurice Shanley with the Cork under-20s who won the All-Ireland. So that's 5 starters who've they've been missing for probably most of the league. So it probably takes those fellas a small bit of time to get up to speed with the club mates again. So Clon really need to up their performance from what they showed against Skib to stand a chance.
You mentioned that, and you're right in saying it probably was a weakened Skibbereen side, but it is essentially a derby, Clonakilty and Skibbereen. So there is like the fact that maybe Skib had that added extra impetus to try and get one over on their not next door neighbours but close enough neighbours. And when you take into Clon's victory in round 1 over the team they might meet in the semi-final, which is Newcestown, like that's a strong form line. So they're carrying in a big win over local-ish rivals in Skibbereen, a huge win over local rivals Newcestown in round 1. So I know they're not beating teams out the gate, but they're beating teams in close games, in competitive games, which can only stand to them going into a game against a Duhallow side that's been putting up big scores all year. So I know Clon maybe haven't blown the roof off anyone, but it's really solid form as far as I can tell.
But it's probably not a bad place to be going into this Saturday night's quarter-final, Jack, because like even the odds suggest there, like Clon are the big underdogs, you know. Most will expect a Duhallow win, so not many are expecting Clonakilty to advance. So for Clon, it's probably not a bad place to be in, because in a way they've nothing to lose, you know. Kind of if they win, it's a big shock, and if they lose, well, Duhallow were favourites anyway. So it would be great to see kind of Clonakilty advance. If you're the Clan Newcestown semi-final, that'd be manna from heaven for the Southern Star. Kind of, you have 2 West Cork teams in the last 4, and you're guaranteed 1 West Cork county finalist this year. But whoever gets through out of Duhallow and Clonakilty, they'll face a tough job against Newcestown. Newcestown showed again against Island Rovers in the quarter-final last weekend that they're tough opponents. So kind of they won 10 points to 4. They held Island scoreless in the second half. Newcestown know how to win games.
Yeah, we should probably touch on that game then just briefly before we bring our focus back to the Clon Duhallow game. Obviously, you mentioned the final score was Newcestown 10, Island Rovers 4 points. But considering the weather we had all last week, and even just on Sunday past, the weather on Saturday for this game was atrocious.
Yeah. And
anyone who's watched any of Island Rovers in action this season will tell you those conditions would not have suited their free flowing style of football. So the cards were stacked against them. They came up short, but Newcestown, as you said, proved they know how to win on the important days, and they did so on Saturday.
Ireland got 1 score from playing the entire game. Stephen Leonard, Sean O'Donovan got two frees. Demek Owen got a free. So we talked last week about Ireland Rovers, kind of their threat in attack, and they have some really, really good forwards. But the conditions were so poor, just mitigated against that. And Newcestown are just so strong as well. They kind of set up with a kind of bank across the half back line, and I think the Ireland half forward line struggled big time to kind of, I suppose, to get past them, forced them to find any room there. And Newcestown just got the points when they mattered. They were 6-4 up at half time, and in the second half, then, like I said, they kept Ireland scoreless. You know, kind of they just know how to win. Newcestown, you know, they're just a real hardy, tough team, and that's why I think whoever comes through out of Clonakilty and Duhallow this weekend, they'll get nothing easy. And it really has opened up for Newcestown this year. They're only up in senior football, I think, since 2010, and they have a great chance of getting through the county final now. And there is no one, I guarantee, Jack, outside of Newcestown would have even predicted that you'd be talking about Newcestown as possible senior football county finalist this year. So it's like to borrow a Roy Keane phrase, all credit to them.
Yeah, all credit to them, and all credit to their star hurler, Luke Meade, who was Dennis Hurley's star man in his match report in this week's Southern Star. But we'll just leave Island and Newcestown there for a second, because as we mentioned, Clonakilty and Duhallow throws in at 5:15 this Saturday evening in Páirc Uí Rinn. And joining us on the line now to preview the game is Cork and Clonakilty's Thomas Clancy.
Clonakilty through to the quarterfinals, but you have your place in next year's Premier Grade already assured. That's I suppose a relief to the club.
Yeah, that's a massive relief. But I suppose going into the skip game, we knew that if we won that game, we were going to be in Senior A next year. So that we were delighted with that win. It's massive for the club to be playing Senior A football next year.
It is, because we all know that the championship is being revamped next year, so to get through to that, like you said there, like it's a big boost to the club. So does it take the pressure off in some way going into this game, kind of knowing that you're already assured your status, or have you parked that till next year?
We've parked that now till next year, really. You know, I suppose it's a bonus of the year that we're playing Senior A football next year, but we're not happy with that. You know, we want to push on now for the rest of the year, just concentrate on the next game against Duhallow on Saturday evening.
You mentioned there about the game against Carbery, that was obviously in round 3. That was a fairly tight game there, kind of went to extra time. What was the big learnings that you took from that game, Thomas?
Yeah, look, it was a very tight game. It was always going to be tight. I suppose as a team, we hadn't done a whole lot as a full team together. There was four or five of us involved in Cork teams at different grades and stuff. So look, it's definitely a match that's going to stand to us. We've done a lot more work now the past couple of weeks since that game. So hopefully that will stand to us as well this weekend.
Like you said there, there's obviously a couple of you involved with the Cork setup. On the senior side alone, there's yourself, Mark White, Sean White and Liam O'Donovan. And obviously Maurice Shanley had a super time with the Cork under-20s as well. Is that tough then when you're away from the club side for so long, Thomas, to kind of reintegrate yourself in with the club? Kind of how easy is it to go from inter-county scene to club?
Yeah, well, you see, I suppose when the club are playing matches and stuff, they're always playing the matches out their Cork players, and then when we come back, it is hard for fellas to get, I suppose, used to playing with the fellas that are always missing. So it's definitely something that you need 3 or 4 weeks on the trot playing a few friendly matches. That definitely helps the situation to blend everything together. But I think against Skibbereen we didn't have that much time together. Look, we weren't too happy with how we performed in the day. We felt that we missed a lot of chances, and to be honest, I felt if we took our chance, we should have been out of sight with 20 minutes left. But look, the way it ended up, we showed good character to come through in the end, and we were just really happy to get over the line.
Since then, what's the preparation been like? Have you got many games in challenge games, or how have you been ticking over?
Yeah, look, since then we've been training away 2 times a week. But you probably train at the weekend, or else we've had 2 or 3 challenge games now the past few weeks. So we're getting used to playing with each other now a bit more. We've had a lot of injuries through the junior hurling and with the football, so everyone's kind of on the verge of coming back now. So we'll be hoping that we'd have more fellas to pick for Saturday evening.
Like, obviously it's against Duhallow, like, and they've been thereabouts for the last couple of years, and they're always a tough team to play against. So what sort of challenge are you expecting off them?
Look, it's a massive challenge for us. Duhallow probably one of the most consistent teams over the past few years. They're in the county final last year. I think most people in the county would be expecting them to come out on top. But look, the situation we're in, we've absolutely nothing to lose, and we're looking forward to be up now and have you go off it.
When you consider over the last, I suppose, go back a couple of seasons where Clon, to be fair, Thomas, were probably struggling at senior level, and you have turned the corner there, and there's good players coming through now to see in a county quarter final, like we said earlier, in the Premier Grade next year. Do you feel that the seniors have turned that corner, that you have proved that you're more than able to hold your own at this level? Yeah, look, to be honest, it's over the past 5 or 6 years we have been struggling at senior level. I think there was good talent in the team now at the moment. Look, we've won the first 2 rounds. We're happy enough with the 2 performances, but I suppose, look, we are up against a very big test at the weekend. I think we have good talent in the team, but I suppose we haven't been playing up at, I suppose, the semi-final stages or the quarter-final stages much lately, and I'd be hoping that we'd be pushing on for the next few years and getting used to playing in quarter-finals, semi-finals and county finals. When you see Newcestown beating Island Rovers the weekend just gone to get through to the semi-final, and obviously kind of you've Duhallow coming up, and you've Nemo and the Bars and so on, and Douglas on the other side, do you feel that the draws open up this year for a team like Clonakilty or Newcestown to kind of get through to a county final? Because, like I said, the Bars and the Nemo are on the top half of the draw, so there is an opportunity there. Granted, Duhallow are a very, very good team, but there is a chance there, probably a better chance than in recent seasons. Yeah, look, I suppose most people looking in from the outside, I suppose, would fancy Duhallow to get through to a county final from where they're at now. But look, if we went out and performed Saturday evening, you never know. If we're there in the game with 5 or 10 minutes left, you wouldn't know what will happen. And look, it's a big opportunity, I think, for this group of players. There's a kind of new team, a lot of good young fellas coming through, and it's their first real experience up to Páirc Uí Rinn playing a county quarter final. So it's going to be a big occasion for us, but it's one we're looking forward to. And final question, Thomas, you've hinted at it there a couple of times. Like, this is a big experience, and it's probably a new experience for a good few of the Clon lads. So kind of whatever happens, at least you're through to the last day, up against the big team up in Páirc Uí Rinn. So whatever happens on Saturday, this is an experience that the team can learn on and build from. Yeah, look, that's it. I don't think this group of players has been up playing a match with Clon seniors in Páirc Uí Rinn yet. It's going to be a good experience for us. But look, we're not going up there just to play the game either. We're going up there to try and get the win. You know, we have full belief in the squad that we have. We know we're up against a massive task against Duhallow. They have some exceptional players. So look, we'll just go up, and as you said, we have absolutely nothing to lose. So we're looking forward to go up to Páirc Uí Rinn now Saturday evening.
Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to all things sport in West Cork. Don't forget to pick up this Thursday's Southern Star newspaper, including our award-winning sports section with everything a West Cork sports fan could want, in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world via www.thesouthernstarTV.ie/e-paper. The Southern Star and the Star Sport Podcast. Number 1 for sport in West Cork.
St James's captured their first ever Carbery Junior A football title, beating Ballinascarty on a scoreline of 11 points to 9. Not only was it their first ever title win, it was also the first time they'd ever contested the final. Kieran, can you maybe put into context how big a deal this is for such a small rural club?
It's not stretching kind of context of reality to say, Jack, that this was the greatest ever week in the history of St James's GA club. Not only have they won the Carbery Junior A Football Championship for the very first time, but they've also picked up a couple of underage titles at under 12 and under 14 level. And why it's so important, Jack, is St James's, they've no minor team, they've no under 21 team, and they've no under 16 team. They're struggling for numbers in those age grades. They have good numbers coming up under 12, under 14, which is great. Even this Junior A team, there probably was a feeling that their time had passed them by, because I think it's up like 10 or 11 of the starting 15 or 30 or over. So their age profile, it's not great, So there probably was, like I said, that feeling that they weren't going to win a first Junior A football title. So for St James's to be crowned the best Junior A football team in Carbery is huge, It's very, very hard for them to put into words how much this does mean for them. But like I said, it's the greatest result in the history of the club. Like, the club is around 127 years, so they've been waiting a long time to kind of have a moment like this. Beat Ballinascarty in the final by 11 points to 9. The other story there was Ballinascarty were going for that rare Carbery Junior A hurling and football double, but they came up short. St James's were just hungrier on the day. They got the scores that mattered. Their Alan O'Shea, their Kerry import from Waterville, who's their player, manager, coach. He got the man of the match award too, so not a bad day for him. He kicked 5 points. It was a day where St James's had heroes all over the field, and it's just a great story, Jack. Kind of for a club, like I said there, with struggling for numbers at certain age groups, can't field teams. For them to win a Junior A football championship in Carbery is massive, because what it does for those younger fellas coming up, it creates heroes in the club now, because all of those men that were involved and all those people involved in St James's success last weekend, they're part of folklore now. They'll be in the annals of St James's GA club history, and they'll take centre stage there. So there's heroes now for the young fellas in the club to look up for. Even I think it's Tyke Fiend. I'm just double check this fella's name. I don't want to get it wrong here. 1 second there. You can keep talking over me now, Jack, just while I look for this. Is it Owen Fiend maybe? Sorry, whoever it is, apologies if you get his name wrong, but he trains the St James's under 14 team. He was a player with St James's last weekend. At the final whistle the last day, the under 14 ran onto the pitch and they surrounded him. It was fantastic. It was a great picture of it, but it just shows just the kind of the older members of the club and younger members, what it means to everyone in the kind of Ardfield Rathbarry parish. So huge deal for them. They're out now in the county championship this weekend. They're taking on Cove in the first round this weekend. So have to say from everyone here in the Star, huge congratulations to St James's. And earlier we caught up with their captain, delighted Joe O'Sullivan, to chat about the big win. We're delighted to be joined on the Star Sport podcast by St James's captain Joe O'Sullivan, fresh from a superb win in the Carbery Junior A football final on Sunday. St James's are Carbery Junior A football champions for the first time. How does that sound, Joe?
Oh geez, it's unbelievable, Kieran. It's something that we've been trying to achieve, both football and hurling, to become Junior A champions the last few years, and finally get over the line. It's a bit surreal at the moment. It probably won't affect us for the next few weeks till we get into really understand. Before we look at the celebrations, and obviously the kind of celebrations that did come after, but let's look at the match for a second against Ballinascarty on Sunday. You were 7-3 up at half time. Did you think, how did you feel at half time in the dressing room? Did you feel it was enough of a lead against Ball? Yeah, I know there was strong wind blowing down and we had to win in the first half, but look, before the game we said we had to get off to a good start, and we kicked the first 3 points of the game. And I don't think Ballinascarty didn't score till about 15 minutes or 12 minutes into the first half, and I suppose it was kind of score for score then, and in the last 10 minutes we kicked the last 3 points in the first half, and if we got a 4-point lead at half time, we took that, and we knew in the second half that we needed to push on and work up the record even more, and
thankfully we got over the line then.
But Ball did, as we all expected, they did come back at you in the second half. But you have an incredible record this year, Joe. You haven't conceded one goal in this championship run. Like, and your defence was absolutely brilliant again. Kind of, how confident were you in that second half when Ball were coming at you?
Yeah, look, I suppose from the 5 championship games that we played, we won 3 of those games by 1 point, and the final we won by 2 points. So, look, we knew we trusted our back six. We've been working well all year. Our work rate along with the midfield and the forwards. We said from the start of the year the defence starts from the full forward line when the other teams are attacking. And I know Ball were trying their best at the end, but we kept calm. I thought the likes of the older lads like Michael McCarthy and Kevin O'Brien and James Driscoll and Paul Sullivan midfield, they really brought that maturity when we needed it in the last 10 minutes, and we kept control of the game. And look, thankfully we're just delighted that we got over the line in the end.
Like you mentioned there, the likes of Kevin O'Brien and those older stalwarts. What do you think this actually means for them, for St James's to be crowned like Carbery Junior A football champions? Like, kind of, it probably is the stuff of dreams.
Yeah, it is the stuff of dreams. I mean, I know they had huge success in 2005, but look, just 14 years where we had great days in championship wins, but it was nothing quite like what we experienced Sunday in League. And for Kevin, he's a big leader in the change room. Like, I mean, when times were, last year we lost the semi-final in both codes, and the eventual winners we lost both in Carbery and Clonakilty. And look, we decided this year, like, we could throw in the towel or we could just really go for it this year. And it was the like of him in the change room as well as our selector and player Alan O'Shea, that just gave us the belief to push on even further this year. Obviously last year was a successful year, but it was the older fellas in the change room that made us drive us on, and look, they gave us confidence to actually win a West Cork trophy. And look, thankfully that's what we did just from there.
The celebrations were huge when the final whistle went in Timor League on Sunday. What were those couple of minutes and moments like after that final whistle went? Did you realise that you'd actually won the game, that you are Carbery champions, and you'd young fans on the pitch and family, friends and stuff? There was tears, back slapping, you name it. It was there. Kind of must have been very, very special for you all.
Oh, it was very special for us. I suppose when the final whistle went, we kind of had 30 seconds to ourselves as a team where we celebrated, and then the parish just flooded in after that, and we had friends and family and wives and players' children really came into us, and look, it was surreal at the time. And I suppose only looking back to now how important, how much it would mean to us. Yeah, look, it was unbelievable.
Later that evening, so I think you headed back to the clubhouse, was it? Because I know you've had a lot of underage success the last week or so as well, with the under 12s and the under 14s, which is brilliant. So yeah, you kind of all celebrated together, so as a club.
Yeah, look, it was probably one of the best weeks that the club has ever had in its history. I suppose the last 5 or 6 years, or even more, going back to 2010 probably. We were a small catchment area. We were sandwiched between 2 senior clubs in Carbery Rangers and Clonakilty, and look, we've no reason else with, but when times got tough, and I know for the last 2 years we've had no under 21 team, and I don't think we've any other team as far as under 14. So look, just seeing the joy in the young fellas' faces in the clubhouse afterwards was just unreal, because not so long ago I was one of those in 2005 when we won the Junior B. And look, it means everything to the underage. What we do is, I think during the week, older fellas at the club came up to us and said, you don't realise what you're after doing to the underage here. And I suppose we haven't, but hopefully this is a platform to kick on out for the next few years, and hopefully to be for years to come.
Like they say, kind of a rising tide lifts all boats, Joe. So you'd hope, like, kind of what your success now on Sunday has done, it's given these young fellas something to aim for. Like, they want to be the next Joe, and they want to be the next Kevin O'Brien and Alan O'Shea, and so you've given them a platform to aim from, which hopefully can help numbers in the club and so on going forward.
Exactly. Look, I think our numbers under 12, under 14, under 8 and under 10 are actually very good at the moment. So the most important thing that we can know is just kind of true to until they can play out football, which I'm sure they're going to after yesterday. But yeah, look, coming to the clubhouse yesterday, it was just to see all the familiar faces of the parents of Arthur at Barry. It was just overwhelming, and it was just really terrific.
It's onto the county series next. Cove are next up this weekend. Is it hard in a way to get your feet back on the ground after what you've achieved and kind of focus in, or what's the train of thought before the weekend?
Yeah, look, I suppose we're kind of going into the unknown now in the county level, but look, we'll put off celebrations. We're going back training Wednesday evening. Look, it's something that a lot of us mightn't have experienced here, and the fellas probably the last year or 2 years thing. So our full concentration is now on the county and Clon and Páirc Uí Rinn. We'll go back some tomorrow evening and look, we'll just have a chat and we'll push on again for that.
Brilliant.
Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to all things sport in West Cork. Don't forget to pick up this Thursday's Southern Star newspaper, including our award-winning sports section with everything a West Cork sports fan could want. In shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world via www.thesouthernstar.ie/e-paper. The Southern Star and the Star Sport Podcast, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Welcome back to the Star Sport Podcast, and we're going to talk junior rugby now. But before we do, Kieran, that's a nice new advert we've just heard, isn't it? What do you think? Very professional.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. I was overlooked for it, but I won't say too much.
You wanted to do the voiceover, did you?
I think I have a great voice for radio.
Yeah,
and a face for radio.
Yeah. Well, maybe the next advert we record, for any prospective sponsors out there, you can record the voiceover. Wink, wink. But anyway, junior rugby is back in our lives this weekend, and there's a big West Cork derby to look forward to as well. You'll have full build-up in this week's Southern Star. Before we touch on the big West Cork junior rugby derby, the Munster under 18 ladies had a big win last weekend, and there was a lot of local involvement in that as well.
There was, Jack. Yeah, you're bang on there. The Munster under 18 girls team won the interprovincial championship. They beat Ulster 36-7 in the final last Saturday. And why this is so notable, Jack, is that there's eight girls from Carbery Junior Rugby Club involved in the Munster under 18 girls panel, which is phenomenal for the Skibbereen club to have so many involved. And they played starring roles as well. Emma Connolly from Skibbereen kicked 16 points against Ulster on Saturday, and Emer Minahan, also Skibbereen Rugby Club, was named player of the tournament, which is some going when you consider you're up against players from Ulster, Leinster, Connacht as well. So congratulations to all of them involved, and we have full coverage of that in this week's paper. But turning back to the Munster Junior League, it's kicking off this weekend with Division 1, and it's very interesting for us, Jack, because we've 3 West Cork teams. We have Skibbereen, Bandon and Clonakilty. And just to kick it off in style, Clonakilty are hosting Bandon this Sunday in the Vale at 2:30. So it's a great local derby to get the...
Could be some weekend for the town of Clon.
Oh, really could, wouldn't it? You could be double success there, you know, Saturday night then followed by Sunday. So for Clonakilty, they're back up in Division 1 this season. They were in Division 2 for the last couple of years, but they won promotion last year. Eddie Knowles is still in charge of them. I suppose this season for them is probably about consolidation. You know, the last time they were up in Division 1, they did struggle probably year on year before they went down. So it's about consolidation for them, kind of just staying up in Division 1 and building from that. Bandon, on the other hand, then Bandon the last couple of years have been one of the top couple of teams in the Munster Junior League. They won it 2 years ago, I think. They won the Munster Junior Cup as well in the last couple of years. They've been thereabouts when the silverware has been handed out. So you'd expect them to be in the reckoning again this year. But there's a change in the guard somewhat there, Jack. Paul Barr is the man in charge now. He was in charge a couple of years ago as well, and he's back at the helm. There's a bit of a turnover in players, he was telling me this week. They've lost some of the older established fellas that moved on, and one of those is Timmy Crowley. Timmy Crowley he's been a mainstay of Bandon Rugby Club for I don't know how many years now. He won a West Cork Sports Star Monthly Award a couple of years back as well. I think he was captain when they won promotion up to Division 1. So he's not involved this year. So he's a big loss. But when the door closes for one, it opens for another. And they have a lot of talented young fellas coming through in Bandon. And they've been successful at All-Ireland underage levels in the last couple of years. So there's a chance there for a couple of young Bandon fellas to kind of stake a claim for a starting spot. But you have to, I suppose, kind of point out too that the step up from underage to Junior 1 rugby is a big step up. You're going from playing under 18s to kind of seasoned 30-year-olds who will put you flat in your arse.
18 stone props.
18, that's exactly, you know, kind of seasoned pros in the Munster Junior League, kind of. So it's a steep learning curve. Bandon beat Skibbereen in the County Cup semi-final last Friday night, 28-17. And I think 5 of the starting pack were fellas from the under-18 team from maybe last year or the year before. So you can see from that it's quite a young team. The third team, like we said, they are from West Cork in the Munster Junior League Division 1 is Skibbereen, and they're at home to St. Sinans this Sunday, so that's their opener. Dennis McCarthy is the coach there this year. Kevin Coombs is the captain. So Skibber will look to break into the top 4 if they can. They've tried the last couple of years, but they've just still been a bit away from it. Last year they finished 8th. They had 6 wins from their 13 games, 1 draw in there as well. So they're not that far off it, kind of if you turn 2 of those defeats into wins, they'll be pushing for the top 4. That's where they want to get this year. Be interesting to see how they get on. So yeah, there's lots of local interest in the Munster Junior League this year. And
we'll have loads of build up to all those games in this week's Southern Star, which is available to buy in shops all around West Cork from Thursday and online at www.thesouthernstar.ie/e-paper.
So, quick look at what's coming up in this week's sports section, Jack. Obviously, St. James's, with their fantastic historic win, is taking precedence. We're giving them 3-4 pages there. So, for any St. James's GA fans or anyone who's any connection to St. James's GA club whatsoever, pick up this week's Southern Star, because it's going to be when you look back on years and years to come. Also, obviously, coverage of Newcestown, Ireland. We've built up to the Clonakilty Duhallow game. Big game last weekend that finished in a draw was Bandon and Bantry Blues in the Premier Intermediate Football Championship. They meet again this weekend, so we have all that. An interview with Phil Healy. Phil Healy is in action at the World Athletics Championships in Doha that start this Friday. Phil is out in the 200 metres in her heat on Monday, so we caught up with Phil just to see how she prepared for that, because the heat and humidity in Doha and Qatar is something that a lot of athletes wouldn't be used to. They've actually had to put all the athletics events in the stadium at the evening. It's kind of, they're starting, like the men's marathon is starting at midnight, just to kind of just, I suppose, to get around the heat and stuff. So we've all that, and plenty there. There's a lot more in this week's Star. So as always, pick it up.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one, as always.
So thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast. We'll be back at the same time next week. So if you enjoy these shows, please make sure to rate, review and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Acast, Stitcher, or wherever else you listen to the show.
Thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, the only podcast dedicated to all things sport in West Cork. Don't forget to pick up this Thursday's Southern Star newspaper, including our award-winning sports section with everything a West Cork sports fan could want. In shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world via www.thesouthernstar.ie/e-paper. The Southern Star and the Star Sport podcast, #1 for sport in West Cork.